Hi guys, back again. So this is the Skibbity Doo app thing that we're building. We started in VO and then moved it into whatever it's called, Windsurf. The app we're trying to build is called Jobify, and it's to manage jobs, basically. Home service businesses or, I don't know, accountants or people that have to manage jobs, like jobs that go and do things, and you need to book it in, you need to quote it, you need to invoice it, people need to pay for it. So the thinking here with the whole thing is that you have a dashboard that you land on, and it's got like today's jobs. It's got the schedule, the next 12 days, like how many are scheduled, revenue and the revenue growth rate. It's got a time frame, so you can change the amount of days it occurs over 60, 90, 100, whatever. Then you got the service performance, like a breakdown, like what is selling best, right? Which gives me an idea. Well, not an idea. It tells me that I need to make a services module or like some way for people to manage services, right? Because if we go, also I added this inbox, right? So that instead of having to jump between email and stuff, they can just go in here and manage comms with the customer just straight in here. And if they hit reply, right, it just should load up their email and whatever the subject line is. We'll set this up so it can be hooked in with like Gmail and Outlook. But I always liked how in support desk apps and like CRMs like HubSpot and stuff, you could just have this like quick template. So instead of like rewriting the same email again or copy pasting the email from like a notes app, you can just have these like handy little templates in here and you can search them. But you dump like one of these in, and then it takes these variables, which are like the customer's name from their customer details, and like the quote name or quote ID, quote date, quote amount, and it just it's like a handy way for people to not have to rewrite the email and stuff. And I think as well, particularly like certain trade businesses and stuff, like they don't necessarily want full blown automation because they don't, number one, they don't trust it. Number two, if it gets overly complex, it can get super duper brittle. And the more brittle it gets, the more likely it is to break, and then they'll shut it down, you know? So that's like the little addition there. It has all the other default sort of inclusions, whatever, the WYSIWYG stuff. You can click between the emails and send follow-ups and stuff. Then we have the jobs page, right, which is just all jobs, and then you can click into an individual job, and then it gives you all the details. This is what I was talking about before, right? If I hit services, I already put that on. Cool. So yeah, you add a new service, and then you can choose a category and a type, subscription frequency. Maybe it's just the one time, and per hour job visit square foot. Cool. And then add a customer. This is like the quick add for new customers, right? So you can quickly add a new customer. If you're in a job, you don't have to have customers, because I hate it when you go into an app and they're like, no, you have to go back to this other screen. And on the other screen, you have to add a customer. And then you have to remember, like, go back and create a job. So it's like, if you're on this page and you're trying to add a job, should just be able to quickly add a customer and a service. So, whatever it is. And then the price will go here, and then the status of the job. They should all start as scheduled, but maybe you're on a job and you want to kick it off, or maybe you want to retrospectively have one that's completed or whatnot. You can add tasks, and they get put down here. I did previously have this as drag and drop. That's going to break stuff. But it would be nice if you could reorder these, right? So what are we on? We're on the jobs page. On the jobs page, make sure editable, delete, and sortable. It's going to go and do its thing. Background process running. So like, I guess all we're doing here really is we're just taking this like super basic task list, which for a really basic application is fine. But if you think about, say, a more advanced job, like a job with multiple facets, or maybe it's a job for like multiple service businesses, or maybe you have a company that does multiple services, you want more comprehensive tasks. And the task should have, ideally, well, the job already has notes, right? That's important. And let's make that WYSIWYG as well. It's got media, so you can upload stuff, because often you'll be at a job site and you want to upload images when you're setting the job up. It's got location, and that'll use Google Maps. So we want to add WYSIWYG to notes probably. Oh, everything broke. So just remember to breathe. Everything breaks when you do stuff. And I think as like people that don't code, or people that are not familiar with code, look, to be honest, people that use Microsoft Word, you just got to relax and know that you can fix it. And it just takes time to fix things. So I did say it was going to break stuff from the outset. We knew it was going to break stuff, right? No difference here. And now it's fixed it, right? We have sortable items. Hell yeah. We have editable items, which can then be saved. And we have deletable items. That's awesome. So you could increase this again. Like you could have it so that they nest, where you could nest tasks. But you know what'd be cooler actually is, I'm guessing jobs for different service businesses generally pretty much the same every time. So like if I had an air conditioning business and I had 40 air conditioning reps and they were going out to install air conditioners, and I just wanted to do the same set of tasks every single time on every single job, maybe what I would do is I would, in the services template, I would specify a job set or like a task list per service executed. And then what I would do is auto apply that template of tasks to the service. And then when a job is loaded or added by the user, then we could pick up that template list and dump it in as a default task list for the job. It might sound complicated. Maybe it is a little bit, but let's just try it. Let's give it some rationale as well, right? Many jobs are the same. A button, create a drop down pick list of task templates that a user can choose from when they are creating a job. When they select a template, it should load the tasks onto the job. Okay. Also, you don't even have to spell check this stuff. It just fixes it for you on the fly, which is good. Yet another thing we no longer have to worry about. I do think it's important you learn how to spell, though. You don't want to look like an idiot. If you're watching this stuff and it's at all helpful, like, you can do this yourself. You don't need me to show you. You could just try and do it and fail a bit and see what works. But if it is helpful, give it a like, or better yet, leave a comment and course correct what we should build, because this is just our first attempt at building something. We could build whatever. Maybe we should build something a bit more meta, a bit more like building the thing that builds itself, or designing the thing that builds itself. What would be cool? So if we go by the premise that in 10 years, all human jobs will be done and obsolete, including physical real world jobs that occur out there in the world. All right. Hey, look at this. General maintenance. Boom. Look at that. That is sick. If we assume that jobs will be obsolete, so jobs still need to be done, but is a human going to do this? Is a human going to do general maintenance? Are they going to do the safety inspection? Actually, how do they manage these? We'll create a template section in settings. Is probably the best way to do it. Somewhere in here, I will put task template lists that they can edit. So, actually, do I have staff? I have staff. Permissions, invitations, activity logs, blah, blah, blah. AI, automations, and app store. I'm going to do all this stuff later because there's so many links on this page, right? And you kind of have to go into each individual one and create a page. See how it says settings/services. And so every single time you go in and be like, create a new page that does this, it's like a lot for this page to think about and manage because there's so many entry and exit points. But that's not what I was talking about. So let's talk through what I'm thinking here. I'm trying to think about the future. And if I have a job management application, which is currently run by like people using meat sacks or humans out there in the marketplace to go and perform jobs, right? You have Airtasker and TaskRabbit and Mechanical Turk, and you have all these different people. Is there a world in which something like Optimus by Tesla or one of those other humanoid robots would need some type of delegation system or management system where jobs are created, queued up, and then assigned to staff? But the staff are not humans, the staff are autonomous humanoid robots. So I would probably put them under equipment. So we would have an equipment section here, maybe. Products, materials. All right, we're going to have to Hail Mary it a bit. So add an equipment group to the settings page with the items: vehicles, machinery, and robots. I mean, do we need the 3? No, we don't. But for the sake of it just being uniform with the other ones, let's just put that on. Because vehicles is kind of like fleet management. Machinery is kind of like drill. Well, that's a vehicle, but maybe pump, belt, I don't know. And then robots would be like legitimately a humanoid robot. So in theory, they could go under staff as well. But I think having all the equipment assets in one spot is good. Did I put that? Yeah, I did. Wrote on settings. So they'll go on the settings page. It'll look shit to start with because it's uneven. But that's all right. We can just figure out another one to add. Email templates, branding themes, SMS notifications, in-app notifications, email notifications, services, products, materials. There's so much to do, I mean, we're probably collectively spent like less than 4 hours on this though. So that's impressive. Oh, good. Everything's broken. Fix it. An unexpected error occurred. That happens a lot where you just copy pasting errors backwards and forwards. It's nothing to be stressed about. It's just quite common. And the dumbest stuff will break the whole app or the whole UI, right? It's like icons or fonts, or they've left off a curly bracket or something ridiculous like that. Web search is configurable tool that can call the web for you. Hell yes. When did it get web search? Is it already on? Cascade generated memories, set global AI rules, set workspace AI rules, auto completion, super complete. I don't know. What did you send me here for? I thought it was whatever. Just go and fix it, man. There we go. Robots. All right, let's build the robots tab. Build me a robots list view to allow users to manage robots that they own at. This is like, it doesn't need to be complicated. It's just going to be a list, right? But you can picture this, right? Man sits in glass ivory tower, job comes in, job gets created in Jobify allows them to select a staff member or robotic asset. Think, what's that movie with Matt Damon? Equilibrium? No. Equa something? I don't know. He goes to space and he has like a robot suit, but there's like little robot dudes in it. So yeah, picture that. You get a job, you need to go and cut down a tree, you assign the tree cutting robot, and then they get queued up. And in the short term, it'll need staff facilitation, right? Maybe you have a vehicle that can deploy robot X to the job site, and then you have to be there to like manage it, but you don't actually have to do any of the work because it's just cutting down the tree for you. And in the future, you just say, cool, send this robot out to go and do this job. And then the system should be clever enough to be like, oh, cool, yeah, you need a drone to keep an eye on the tree, and then you need the cutting robot, and then you need the humanoid traffic robot or something like that. I don't know. We're talking about the future here, so we're just a clean robot, inspect robot, and delivery bot. There you go. The other thing that'd be cool as well is I bet there's going to be scenarios where other people own robots, because like you're not going to own all these robots. Like maybe you will, but it's very unlikely that you're going to own every robot that works for you, right? Because you're going to have people that have cash, capital, money, dollary dues, and they're going to have a warehouse full of robots, and you will be able to rent or borrow those robots, and then they will go and perform jobs for you. Because why on earth would you set up an entire maintenance division to try and like own, run, and manage those robots when you could just borrow someone's robot that they've got sitting around down the street, and then you could work out the proximity of the robot to the job that you're trying to complete. So you would punch in the job's address and you would be like, I need a tree cutting robot, and then it'll go and look at the system and it'll be like, there are 3 tree cutting robots within 20 Ks, 20 miles, and then this one has the best success rate, or this one went through maintenance most recently. And then you'd be like, cool, I'll use that one. And then you pay a fee of the total job cost to rent that robot. And then it goes and performs the job and then reports back. Battery level, how good. Yeah, you could show in maintenance, charging, online, offline. This is the location, right? Maybe it's at the charging station. Maybe it's got a model, and then you punch in the name. If you select the model, this would have to change if you were using other people's robots, right? Because it'll have its own designation, and then you'll say, get me this one, and then it'll go and do that task. And it's cool how it shows the battery as well. Because then if we go back to jobs and we open a job, we should be able to, under job details, thinking out loud here. When you're on a job, when in the jobs page, user should be able to select not only staff member job, but also vehicle, any equipment required. This will put the job, but also make it not bookable until the job is complete, so they never double booked. So the thinking here, you've got a job, you go into the job, you create the job, but when you're in the job, you should be able to allocate resources, both staff and to the job. So hopefully what it'll do is it'll come in here, it'll add one of these card things, and underneath the card, it'll put like hopefully it'll break it up and it'll be like equipment, robots, staff, because then you have a complete picture of the job. And maybe what we do is we make it non-mandatory to fill out all the information, because it'd be a royal pain in the ass if you were in a hurry and you were trying to create a job on the fly on mobile and you wanted to just quickly jot the details down. You didn't want to have to add everything, right? So what I'd love to see is these modular little cards. You choose what things are added and included. The other thing we could do as well is on the quotes, we could earmark equipment that was required to perform the job, so that when it was quoted, we had an understanding of when we might need the equipment, because then we could preemptively have the equipment ready. But we'll tackle that at a later date. I feel like as well this might break stuff because it seems like a significant change. Maybe not. You never know. But there you go. I mean, it's tidy. I'm pretty happy with that. It doesn't need. I will break it out into its own thing, but for now, I think that's pretty good. Start and end. Start time, finish time, location notes. I mean, it's pretty good. Pretty good. So that's jobs. I mean, we can add more to it. We will add more to it. You know what we definitely need on jobs? So when you're at a job and you've got staff at a job, you're going to want to see an activity feed, and the activity feed would include images, video, audio, and notes. I mean, you need the notes, right? Like, pain in the ass. All right, I'm going to upgrade notes to include what you see is what you get. Editor, and add a save button. The reason I'm doing that is so that underneath all of those items, I can set up comments, because if you're at a job, you're going to want to see an audit trail, and you're going to want comments from the technician performing the job. You also want to send a copy of the completion of the job to the customer. So when you invoice them, they don't go, hey, why are you invoicing me this? So if there's a whole thread of commentary, feedback, changes, pivots, updates that have occurred on a job, you should be able to grab all of that and attach it to an invoice and be like, here's when we said we're going to change this. So it's kind of like long range ask cover for jobs. Stuff breaks. It's okay. Everyone breathe. Fix it. Tip taps editor. So it's imported this editor and it's broken stuff. That's fine. Yes, you have to install the package you're trying to call. So it's tried to call this and it's not installed. So it's saying, hey, I'm going to run this terminal command. The terminal command goes npm install tip tap, blah, 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 blah. And then that will add it into wherever it goes in here, somewhere in there, and in here, libraries, probably in there. Yeah, in there. Node modules. It should be tip tap. Somewhere in there. Oh, look at that. That is super fancy. All right. And now the next thing that's going to break everything, we don't want cursor. No offense, cursor. We're currently just trialing windsurf. On the jobs page, create comments section for staff and admins. Show staff member. I don't even need to write all this. I was going to write all the inclusions, but it's going to go on the job page, create comments section for staff and admins to add comments and media and reactions to jobs. Make comments editable and have media. The thing is, if you keep it vague and top level, you often end up with pretty good results. And then you can decide whether you want to add complexity to it. Like, do job comments need reactions like Facebook? No. But would it be cool to have them? Absolutely. I do think it needs media, because if you're like, this thing's broken, or say it's a government client and you're like getting them to add the progress, or maybe they're walking around doing an audit of an orange facility farm that needs an audit, then you could just go send the person out and they could run around, take photos, and the comments are left against the job. Always test it, because you just want to test the UI, right? Because when you've made it, not when you've made it in life, when you've made the UI feature, you just test all, pretend you're a QA, quality assurance specialist. You just want to try and break it. So test all the things, click all the buttons, upload the things, because it's almost always going to break at some point. You just need to know where the horizon of, or where the drop off is, where it's going to break, you know? Okay. You need to reload. There we go. Hey. Oh, look. Shout out to our man, Shad CN. And that's cool, and that's cool, and that's cool. Be cool if you could change this to be like to be a bit more visual and a bit fancier. They can edit, they can delete. I mean, what more could you want, right? Is it mobile responsive? Not really. Kinda. How do I reload it? Don't know. Anyway, that's something to think about, right? You want to go through every screen and make sure it's responsive as well. I'm going to stop this video here because it's already long in the tooth, but follow along. We'll go through the rest of these pages and try and add enhancements. The next step for this, if you actually want to take this stuff to production, that's where stuff starts to get really hectic, because you're going to have to hook it up to Superbase. You're going to find an auth client or use Superbase. You want, like, so much of application development is not the UI stuff. It's all the shit that happens outside of that people don't think about, like periodic jobs that occur, like in the background, emails that get sent out to people and update things. Anyway, we'll keep going. Forge ahead. If you're building stuff, share what you've built in the comments. It'd be cool to see what everyone else is building, and we can all follow along and see what each other are building. Peace out.